Okay, good morning. This week we are back on the big site for a catch up and we've got loads of positive newses, but I'm just going to start with a few bits of the negative stuff, get it over and done with out of the way. First one being this here. So the new road, obviously, as you know and you've seen time and time again, is going in. Now that is stoned up to a point. We're still waiting to get them two chambers in and do the main poo connection. We've still got BT to pipe through. We're having a few problems with BT and a few problems with the electric as well. Weather-wise though, it has, as you can tell, it is now t-shirt time. So weather has dried right up and we are getting closer to getting that poo connection in. We are at the last stage now chamber-wise. The next section will take us through and connect us up to the main road and the main sewerage pipe that's in the ground already. But the bit that's frustrated me a little bit, which I've only just realised, when these two radiuses have been done, which this one where we're standing now is the entrance, or will be the new entrance to Trent, and the next one being customers building and Trent 2 and the very important customer that's going to be moving in that I can't tell you who it is yet. The radiuses are different sizes. I don't know why, I don't know where that has been sort of lost in translation, but they are ever so slightly different sizes. Originally, we had that higher level curb line in. So when we did the Trent Fasteners car park, that was what was approved by the council, what was passed off by everything, that was what was put in. So we only put the radius curbs into that point because we knew we'd got to curve it back, didn't quite know what was going to go on with the arrangement of the pavement, and ultimately we would have to run that round and meet it into the gates or the gate post or however it worked. Second application went in, which was for customer said building, and that included this element of roadway along with the two radiuses. Now somewhere along that line someone has changed the design, because that original radius that was passed off and installed has now got to come out because this new larger radius has had to go in. When I say larger radius, I think the internal one is over about a 10-metre radius and this one is what they call a 15-metre radius. So quite frustrating, because ultimately we spent a chunk of money on them curbs, on casting them, on Tarmac 2, which 2 has to be dug out because we've got an element of planting here. So that was been a bit waste of money really. But on the positive side, the new curbing line is in. Obviously we've got to just rip that up and out. We've got like a triangle sort of shape here, or a quarter moon should I say, and that will be planting and that will be mirrored on the other side. And then again, both of that will be exactly the same as what we've got on the next radius. So as you're driving up the road, we'll have the fence line, and then we'll have 4 effectively nice little planted areas that will be kept on top of and look really nice. So, spin round. Now whinge is over, onto the positive newses. We have finally got a dry enough site that A, we have stoned it up and it doesn't look like we're going to have to relay any more stone or dig any more wet areas out. Drainage is clearly working, that's all going a treat. And in the background you can probably see we now have tarmac. The weather has let up enough that we were able to stone that, top it all, roll it all in, and ANMAC and the guys then have been back now and they have put the base coat of tarmac on. So like I say, we have got the base coat now of tarmac in, which is, we have this row of eco drains here, which are the heavy duty ones again, because that's the middle effectively of what is the car park between customer said building and our new one. That run of ecos is left high at the minute, as is all the other chambers, because the tarmac will have a topping that goes up and marries then up to the height of the top of all these grids. And the reason we haven't put the topping on at the minute, which we would have liked to have done, but in order to work with our customer, because they're trying to get in and we can't get the building signed off until they've completed their works, which their works include solar PV on the roof. So we've got scaffold company coming in, which are scaffolding all across the front, gables and the rear elevation of the building. What I was a bit worried about was with them having to scaffold from the floor, everything sat on the floor. What I didn't want is the freshly laid tarmac finishing and then somebody dropping something, or heavy machinery skewing around, lifting stuff up and down. I didn't want any of that, because when the surface goes in, we want to make sure that surface is in, nice, finished, crisp, clean, and done, and that's it. What it means in the meantime is all the high chambers that we've got set now, they're a bit of a tyre pincher, so we'll cone them to make sure nobody drives over them. Most importantly, we want to make sure this row of acos is protected, because although they're the heavy duty ones, if you drive into the sidewall of one of them now, they're ultimately like a fiberglass construction that will crack and break because there's no support until the topping has gone into them. The top is the metal construction. We've got the metal little side bracket on, but inside there is like a fiberglass which stands up, holds the metal on the side, and then the grid top sits in and screws down. And although once installed and fully tarmacked up, they're absolutely bulletproof, I hope. They'll take a 44-ton Arctic skewing round over them and shouldn't be an issue. At the moment, while that still is lower, that is quite vulnerable to being smashed off. We've got some of that actually, because when we installed the Trent access all them many moons ago, in anticipation, we left the base coat in and we didn't top it because we didn't know what was happening further on. Now we're going to have to dig an element of them ACOs out because the same has happened. We've run over it with big kit, big machinery, forklift trucks, whatever it may be, and it smashed that side in. Now there's nothing you can do to repair that other than cut it out, start again. Finishing off the edges, obviously you'll remember looking back, we were putting this retaining wall in here. So this is a section of concrete panel and they're held in place by some little stubby posts which are sat down on a foundation underneath. Now that's to keep the ground level between the higher site, which is Fowler and Gilbert's site, and this site here. All we've got to do now is backfill down the back of this wall with effectively stone and gravel, and that's it, then finished off. We've already started some of the planting. We've got a wild array of nice border plants all the way along there, as you can see. We concreted this little section here. You remember the customer said that they wanted it for storing their bins. Well, that's been done now, so that's in. Beyond that, we've gravel, which is the route around the building for maintenance and fire escape. Above, on a higher level, all the aircon units are nice and tidy fitted in there. And like I say, now we've just got the scaffolding going round, ready to put the solar PV on the roof. Bollards. So these bollards now have been set all the way down the length of the building. These here have the Armco barrier, so that's like the motorway crash barrier that you'll have seen. That will go from here all the way to the door. The yellow bollards, the round ones that we've got in each doorway, they then sit there slightly projected further out just to stop any vehicles clashing with the building in and around the doorways. And that Armco that goes along there will provide us a nice walkway along the front of the building by where, again, no cars or vehicles can damage the front cladding of the building or run into anyone if they're walking along. So we've cast them in. Again, they are on a footing, bolted down too. We got all them plumbing exactly where we want them. Then we've concreted this footpath effectively along the front of the building. You'll see there's some difference in levels, which we'll look at now. Where the doors are, a little bit like we go on all the time about level thresholds, but you've got to come out from the inside of the building to outside with a ramp. And we need to maintain, wherever we can, them 2 courses of blue engineering brick on show. Between the concrete slab and that blue engineering brick wall or dwarf wall, we've then put some foam, which is what we've used to act as a shutter for the minute for the concrete. That foam will all be raked out and that'll be backfilled then with gravel. And that'll give us like a permeable section then between the dwarf wall and the solid concrete that's non-permeable. And then everything for us on the outside of the building is completely done and finished. All the windows have now been sealed up by Window Wayne on the outside. Chris has had to do the inside because Window Wayne doesn't do the insides for some reason, don't know why. Last bit of good news is actually, before we go inside, is a massive well done to all the lads that have worked on this building here, because we were a bit worried, and not that we've had a pressure test done yet that has passed first time. However, this time we have. The number that we had to make sure we were below was sat at 5. And in the past, when we did Trent and Trent's building and we did Fowler and Gilbert's offices, we've had to have sort of 2 attempts at getting over the line where that score is concerned, or under the line, should I say. But a massive well done to Chris and all the guys that have worked on it, doing all the sealing up, because we, on the first attempt, got a score of 1.83. The chap that come to do the inspection and do the certificate said it was one of the best units he's ever been to. So I was chuffed to bits with that, because it means that all of that effort that everybody's gone to, as we've gone through each stage of the project, sealing everything as we've gone, has definitely worked. Because it's not cheap getting that chap out to do his assessment more than once. And ultimately, then, if he comes out and assesses, we've got to spend an immense amount of time trying to plug holes where the building is leaking air in, or therefore air out. So that has worked really well. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with that. And it's another big one ticked right off the list. So let's go inside. So repairs to the floor, if you remember, we had a crack that had appeared right next to where the expansion joint should have worked, and it didn't. So we've had to chase that out. So we've chased a metre wide trench out of there. That's been reconcreted now. There was rebar putting it into each slab with the sockets, and then mesh running down the middle and everything tied together. So strength wise, it's absolutely perfect. Finish wise, it looks pretty good too, actually. Inside, the only bits, like I say, for us to finish were the handrail. As you can see, handrail is all in now and done. So that's pretty much it inside for us as well. JDC are just finishing their few bits off. Customer is in and they are doing bits and bobs of painting. They've painted everything out upstairs. Everything downstairs is now white. Customer is sealing up the floor themselves. Wayne has been back in today. He has finished off the kitchen unit, all the toilets and the vent pipe as well. That's all now done. So there is next to nothing left for us to do now to finish off. But we can't get the final sign-off certificate until the PV is on the roof and we've got the poo connection in and the mains electric. So them are the few bits that we're waiting on. So then the last few bits outside for us to finish are, we have a barrier to go in. So we've got to make the barrier, which is 2 number hinge barriers that meet and clap in the middle. We've got the last bit of site fencing to do. We've got the bit of landscaping here. This is like a grass pavement actually round here. There's that element of the planted quarter moon that I mentioned before to go in there. The fence will come down round, finish off everything nicely up to the barrier. Road wise, we've got one more chamber to put in, and this is pretty much ready now for the 40mm topping to run through, ready for base coat of tarmac. So that tarmac is in and stops there where you can see, and then all of this will be then tarmacked up to the existing Trent entrance. And beyond that, we've had a bit of a tidy up. We're trying to get to the stage where we can put a little bit of a compound up on the top side of the site there, by where we can store all of our machines and materials that we're not using in and around different parts of the project going on. If we can do that, we can run the tarmac, which is where we've got planning to run the road to, which the tarmac will then end, and the last little bit into the compound will be stone, and we've still got then access to it from the rear of the Fowler and Gilbert site. So that has all worked in quite nicely for us, because Chris and the guys were able to finish up these bits here. Next week there's a few of them that need to go up and start a demolition job, and I am away at the Pig and Poultry Show. So if you like what you've seen, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and we will leave you with a massive on the big site with loads of tarmacking going on and loads of other works montage. Boom.